The San Gabriel Mountains stood tall, a majestic backdrop for dreams. It was the 1960s. Black families, escaping the suffocating hoods of South Central and Watts, sought refuge in Altadena, California. This wasn't just a move, it was a leap of faith. After the Civil Rights Acts, blacks were able to buy homes in Altadena, due to redlining to keep blacks out of Pasadena. Altadena offered something rare, a chance for black families to prosper. Here, they could buy homes, build businesses, build a future. The air was cleaner, the streets were safer. This was their piece of the American dream. The Nickerson family, like so many others, arrived with hope in their hearts and ambition in their eyes. Little did they know, their destiny would become intertwined with the fate of this town. The story of Altadena's black community is one of resilience, of triumph, but also of tragedy. This is their story. Rodney Nickerson was a pillar of the Los Angeles community. After graduating from LA High, he served 4 years in the United States Navy. He then went on and spent 45 years at Lockheed Martin as a project engineer. Rodney was one of the first to take advantage of the 1964 Civil Rights Acts with a bold move from the city of Los Angeles and bought a home in the suburbs of Altadena. Altadena was one of the first suburban cities to allow blacks to buy homes, due to redlining keeping blacks out of Pasadena. Doctors, teachers, entrepreneurs, Altadena represented black excellence. They broke barriers and shattered stereotypes, proving that with determination and support, anything was possible. Their achievements were a source of pride, not just for their family, but for the entire community. The journey to Altadena was not without its trials. Black families escaped the turmoil of Watts after the riots, seeking refuge from the violence and instability. The gangs in the 80s and 90s of South Central Los Angeles posed a constant threat, making it clear that blacks needed a safer place to call home, raise a family, and still be in close proximity to the city, just a freeway away.
7 relatives bought homes in Altadena, stood as a testament to their hard work. Each family member enjoyed the good life in Altadena and are symbols of our perseverance. Each sister, brother, cousin loved their community and raising their families. These homes were more than just structures. They were the embodiment of our journey and their triumphs. Each home represented not just bricks and mortar, but generations of dreams, sacrifices, and unyielding hope. They were filled with memories, from the laughter of children to the wisdom of elders. These homes were our heritage, a physical manifestation of our family's enduring spirit. We were living proof that in Altadena, even the impossible could take root and flourish. Our community thrived, a vibrant tapestry of cultures and stories. We celebrated our successes together and supported each other through challenges, creating a bond that was unbreakable. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. Challenges arose that tested our resilience and unity. Yet through it all, the spirit of the Nickerson family remained unbroken, a beacon of hope and perseverance in the face of adversity. On January 14th, there was a candlelight vigil held in Watts, California, honoring Rodney Nickerson. He was the grandson of William Nickerson, a prominent businessman founder of Golden State Mutual Life Insurance, and was the founder and namesake of the Nickerson Gardens, the largest housing project development in Watts, Los Angeles.
January 7th, 2025. A date that would forever be etched in the annals of history. A day etched in infamy. The events that unfolded would leave an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of those who lived through it. The Santa Ana winds, notorious for their fury, whipped through the canyons, carrying with them a sinister whisper of danger. These winds, often unpredictable and fierce, had a history of turning small sparks into raging infernos. A spark, insignificant at first, ignited the dry brush. What began as a mere flicker quickly grew into something far more menacing. The Altadena Eaton fire had begun. In its infancy, it seemed manageable, but the winds had other plans. Panic spread through the community as flames devoured the landscape with terrifying speed. The once serene town of Altadena was now a scene of chaos and fear. Families scrambled to evacuate, their cherished possessions left behind in the face of the inferno. The urgency of the situation left no room for sentimentality. The roar of the fire was deafening, a monstrous symphony of destruction. The flames, relentless and unyielding, consumed everything in their path. For the Nickersons, the fire was a nightmare come to life. Their home, filled with memories and dreams, was now under siege. The flames, fueled by the wind's malevolence, danced towards their homes with an insatiable hunger. Each gust of wind seemed to breathe new life into the fire, pushing it closer and closer. They watched in horror as their legacy, their sanctuary, was reduced to ash. The sense of loss was overwhelming, a void that could never be filled. 7 relatives lost 7 homes, generations of dreams, gone in an instant. The aftermath was a stark reminder of nature's unforgiving power and the fragility of human endeavors. The Altadena Eaton fire wasn't just a natural disaster. It was a story of 2 Altadenas. Opulent mansions, shielded by private firefighting services, remained untouched. It was the Black community, the heart of Altadena, that was left vulnerable. The fire laid bare a cruel reality. Years of systemic neglect had left them exposed. Water pressure, practically non-existent when it mattered most, turned fire hydrants into useless monuments of despair. The flames discriminated, sparing those with wealth and influence while punishing the vulnerable. As the smoke cleared, the full extent of the devastation became horrifyingly clear. Homes, businesses, and a lifetime of memories lay in ruins. The fire had taken more than possessions. It had stolen their sense of safety, their belief in a just world. 7 homes, each belonging to a different relative, were lost in the inferno, deepening the community's grief. In the aftermath, the blame game began. Fingers were pointed in every direction, with no one willing to take responsibility. The community, already devastated by the fire, watched in dismay as their leaders squabbled over who was at fault.
The mismanagement of resources by Mayor Bass's administration is unacceptable. This disaster could have been mitigated. The lack of coordination and preparedness was evident, and the community's trust in their local government was shattered. People demanded answers and accountability, but received only excuses and deflections.
Governor Newsom, the real issue lies with Fire Chief Crowley's department. We were let down when we needed them most. The fire department's response was slow and inadequate, leaving many to fend for themselves. The community's frustration grew as they felt abandoned by those sworn to protect them. The challenges we faced were unprecedented, but we did everything in our power to combat the fire. Despite our best efforts, the sheer scale of the disaster overwhelmed our resources. We fought tirelessly, but the odds were stacked against us from the start.
But the residents of Altadena, picking through the ashes of their lives, enough is enough with the empty promises. They lost everything. Their homes, their memories, their sense of security. The promise to rebuild feels numb and hollow in the face of such immense loss. The lack of water pressure, a recurring issue ignored for years, became a symbol of their abandonment. The dry hydrants stood as silent witnesses to the neglect and failure of the system. For years, warnings had been issued, but they fell on deaf ears, leading to this catastrophic outcome. Class action lawsuits Ben Crump has filed against the Department of Water and Power and Southern California Edison. The legal battles are just beginning, as the community seeks justice and reparations for the negligence that had cost them so much. The courtroom will become the new battleground for a community determined to hold those in power accountable. The accusations are damning: negligence, incompetence, and a blatant disregard for the safety of the Black community. The daily news is capturing the hurt and anger. The demand for justice is the rally cry. The community's anger is palpable and understood by those not affected. The fire might have subsided, but the fight for justice has just begun. The scars left by the flames are deep, but the community's spirit remain unbroken. They vowed to rebuild, not just their homes, but their trust in a system that had failed them. The journey ahead is long, but God will see them through.
Amidst the ruins, the spirit of Altadena's Black community is flickering, refusing to be extinguished. Neighbors helping neighbors, donating food, water, and offering shelter to those in need of housing.
The community is devastated but unbroken. Find solace in their shared grief. Churches transforming into makeshift shelters and school classrooms for displaced and residents and students. Volunteers pouring in from neighboring cities, offering a helping hand and a shoulder to cry on. The outpouring of support provides a glimmer of hope in the face of unimaginable loss.
But even as they picked up the pieces of their shattered lives, a new fear will begin to creep in. The fear of losing even more. Land grabs, redistribution of wealth is the killing field for opportunistic developers preying on the vulnerable to make a quick buck.
The land, scorched by flames, is now viewed by some as an opportunity. Developers, eyes gleaming with dollar signs, circled the devastated neighborhoods like vultures. They will be offering quick cash payouts for properties, preying on the desperation of those who had lost everything.
That's politics and the American way. City and county officials in cahoots with developers, their silence speaking volumes. The fear of being priced out of their own community is the reality of seeing their history erased is a hard pill to swallow.
The community, their hearts heavy with grief, must stand their ground and rebuild to not be driven out. This land holds their history, their memories, the echoes of their ancestors. They must have faith to rebuild not just their homes, but their community, stronger and more resilient than before. The story of Black Altadena is about more than just rebuilding homes. It is about demanding accountability. This is the turning point in American history. The class action lawsuits against the DWP, Southern California Edison, the state of California, the city and county of Los Angeles are inevitable, fueled by the anger and determination of the community. Politicians, once eager to deflect blame, will be held accountable when the smoke clears. The media, initially slow to cover the plight of Altadena's black residents, covering the ultra-rich and the wealthy in Palisades and Malibu, is now shining a spotlight on the injustices they faced. The fight was far from over, but there was a glimmer of hope. The resilience of the human spirit, particularly when united in the face of adversity, had the power to overcome even the most daunting obstacles. The story of Altadena's black community is a stark reminder that the pursuit of the American dream remains elusive for many. It is a story of resilience in the face of tragedy, of unity in the face of adversity, and of a fight for justice that continues today. But it is also a call to action. We cannot allow such tragedies to occur again. This is bigger than politics. Republicans versus Democrats, we're all human. We must demand accountability from our elected officials, invest in equitable infrastructure, and stand in solidarity with communities that have been marginalized and forgotten. Support the families of Altadena. Demand justice. Demand change. Let us honor their resilience by ensuring that their story serves as a catalyst for a more just and equitable future for all.